It defied logic, bent tradition, and put bowlers on notice. Played on one knee over the wicketkeeper's head against the fastest in the world. This is the story of the Dilscoop, the stroke that changed white ball cricket forever. In this episode of From Colombo with Swing, we rewind to where it all began. Because before it had a name, it had a purpose. But before we jump headfirst into Dilshan's invention, let's talk about the evolution of the scoop itself. Because make no mistake, Dilshan didn't pluck it out of thin air. This was a shot many in the subcontinent attempted in narrow alleys and backyard games, armed with a tennis ball and a dream. Picture this, a cramped street, 3 fielders, and no real room to swing through the line. What do? You improvise, you bend low, flick your wrists, and try to send the ball over the wicketkeeper's head. Many have tried it, some of them got away with it, but could you imagine doing it with a hard cricket ball delivered at 150 kilometers per hour in front of a global audience? That's what made Dilshan's shot revolutionary. Now let's rewind a bit to the early 2000s. If you're a Bollywood fan or just love cricket, you might remember the movie Lagan. There's a quirky character named Guran who plays a shot eerily similar to a scoop. Fictional? Sure. But it hints at how the cricketing imagination was already toying with the idea. And then there was Dougie Marillier. Ah yes, Indian fans will never forget the name. In 2002, during an ODI in Faridabad, Zimbabwe needed 65 with just 1 wicket in hand. In walks Marillier at number 10 and pulls off the unthinkable, an unbeaten 56 off 24 balls, featuring a series of innovative scoop shots behind the stumps. And he wasn't targeting a part-time spinner. This was Zahir Khan in full rhythm. Marillier had played a similar trick against Glenn McGrath a year earlier, nearly stealing a win. That shot became known as the Marillier scoop, but it never stuck in the mainstream. Why? Possibly because his international career, like Zimbabwe cricket at the time, was derailed far too soon. Around the same time, Ryan Campbell, who would later go on to play for both Australia and Hong Kong, also dabbled with the scoop. In 2002, playing for Australia A against Sri Lanka, he played the shot effectively against Nuwan Zoysa, but his short stint in international cricket meant his contributions went under the radar. You could also throw in names like Mohammad Ashraful or William Perkins, who experimented with their versions of the scoop, but none managed to own it. None made it theirs. Enter Tillakaratne Dilshan, June 8, 2009, T20 World Cup, Nottingham, facing Shane Watson. What seemed like a cheeky flick soon turned into a jaw-dropping moment. He bent down on one knee, head tucked in, and scooped the ball clean over the wicketkeeper. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a fluke. If you'd watched the IPL earlier that year, you'd know he had been working on this. As Dilshan would later explain, I played a lot of tennis ball cricket in Sri Lanka, and on the streets, there's not much option to hit on either side of the wicket. I started with the paddle scoop over fine leg, but everyone was doing that. So I refined it. I worked hard to perfect a shot that could go right over the keeper's head. It took me a couple of years. What set the Dilscoop apart was not just its direction, but the way it was played. He'd go down on one knee, pick the ball off a good length, and at the last possible moment, drop his head and guide it over the keeper. Sometimes it would go over the slips, sometimes deep into the stands. To attempt that kind of shot at international pace, you needed nerves of steel and maybe a dash of madness. But Dilshan made it look easy. He didn't just use it once or twice. He turned it into a signature move, calculated, not reckless. It wasn't a gimmick. It was strategy. It was pressure relief. It was disruption. He ended that World Cup as the leading run scorer, and his stroke became the talk of the cricketing world. Ironically, the only major time the Dilscoop failed him. The final of that same tournament. He mistimed it and fell cheaply, and Sri Lanka, unbeaten till that point, lost to Pakistan. But that miss only added to the legend. After that, Dilshan rarely overused it. He picked his moments, and almost every time he played it, the risk was worth the reward. One of the most iconic Dilscoops, a 6-off Mitchell Stark at the SCG in 2013. The ball flew several rows back, a master at the peak of his craft, against one of the world's fastest bowlers. More than a decade later, with reverse sweeps, switch hits, and helicopter shots flooding the game, very few have dared to replicate the Dilscoop with the same consistency and success. It remains Dilshan's legacy, his mark on the game. As he once said, "Millions watch cricket, and I wanted a place in their hearts. Players are forgotten after they retire, but I will live on through the Dilscoop." In a game rich with history, the Dilscoop isn't just a shot, it's a symbol of creativity, of courage, of a street cricketer who made it to the top and left something behind that no one can ever take away. Happy 16th birthday, Dilscoop. You still make jaws drop.